Let's talk about this next album. I got to hear some of these songs live earlier this month. Conquer Divide have dropped my most anticipated album of 2023, Slow Burn.
Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother. That's a great place to start, actually. Afterthought.wav.
.wav is crazy.
Bro, this guy's an editor and he called it .wav.
Oh,
bro, revoke his other cover now.
However the fuck you want to pronounce it. Every year, there are a handful of songs that I declare as holy shit songs. As songs that make me have an audible reaction when I am first listening to them. I can count them on, like, typically one hand every year. Last year, it was, like, Cabin Fever. 2021, it was The Final Say by Caskets.
How about
This year,
Hysteria?
it is... I think Hysteria probably was one of them, too. This year, it is Afterthought by Conquer Divide, which gets the honorary holy shit for how fucking hard Janelle goes on the harsh vocals in the first 50 seconds of this song. Because holy fuck. It is brutally heavy. It is chunky. It is chuggy. It is slow. It is delayed. It is just raw and incredible. And then the chorus kicks in and Kirelli sounds as incredible as ever as she does on the rest of this album. So, Derek, why don't you talk first? Because I feel like this is my most anticipated album of the year, so I think I should let you guys get your thoughts out first before I just take everything you guys want to say.
I was very excited for this album, given the strength of the singles. I think most of the non-singles, with the exception of The Invisible, are better than the singles.
Come on,
I think
man.
if you asked me to pick my bottom 5 on this album,
No,
3 of them would be singles.
no.
Yeah, sorry,
What's
man.
the invisible hate, man?
What?
What's the invisible hate for?
No. I'm saying that is the exception, as in that's not one of the bottom 5.
Oh.
That's like the only single that I wouldn't put in bottom 5.
What's the new
potential.
heaven hate, man?
Yeah, sorry. Here, so I Kirelli, phenomenal. The whole band, phenomenal performance. I think vocally is where this band shines. I really enjoy the mixing on this, which I believe is Joey Sturgis, who mixed a shitload of classics. And I think one of the band members has a relation to him. I don't know if it's like daughter or wife or relative or what, but somebody in the band is related to him. As far as I know. If they both have the last name Sturgis, and that is an incredible coincidence. I think that this is way better than their 2015 album, which obviously they've had 8 years to mature, but this sort of sound I think is really where they shine. I love Wide Awake. I think it's my favorite song on here, alongside probably Over It, Playing with Fire, and Pressure. Overall, this is a very consistent album, and I like it a lot. I don't think there's a bad song on here. I have a problem with the way it's organized. I don't like Atonement as an opener, because I think that New Heaven, Paralyzed, and Welcome to Paradise all have opener energy in their own right that not only exceeds Atonement, but also makes the first 4 tracks of the album a little hard to get through compared to the rest of the album. For me personally, I think it takes forever to build, just because all of them feel like they could
As
be
much
openers.
as I love those first 3 singles, I absolutely get what you're saying. I do feel like it takes a bit to get into the album.
One of the things, I feel like Atonement and Paralyzed are both very formulaic, right? For the most part. New Heaven and Welcome to Paradise are more like progressive, experimental, I would say, type of things out of the singles. So you have this pattern of predictable, experimental, and none of them are super fast paced. So it's just like I'm slugging into track 5. Once I hit track 5, unbelievable ride the rest of the way. I've gotten to the point where, as much as I love all those songs individually, listening to them back to back to back becomes a little difficult, and I've just started playing the album at track 5. Which isn't like to disrespect Atonement through Welcome to Paradise, because I all have them playlisted. I still love them individually. It's a bit to get through for me, which is like the one thing holding this back from being like a top 3 album of the year. Because otherwise, I feel like all the pieces are there, and I love the way it was executed. I'm also left a little confused as to the motif of this album. I thought it was going to be a little more consistent. And
yeah, I think that's
a little
fair.
All over the place. Thematically.
Yeah, I can't exactly piece together what this album is. Whereas, like, you name some of the other albums that I've really loved over the past few months, like A Call to the Void by Hot Milk. It is very clear that that album has a story, and you can kind of follow what's going on with it. This album, I feel like, I hate degrading this album to a collection of singles.
Right.
But I haven't been able to piece together too much more of an element of what Slow Burn has to do with this album, other than by the end of it, I kind of get the sentiment that it's like from the perspective of women in the industry having a harder time succeeding compared to men in the genre. I don't know.
I don't get that anywhere besides Gatekeeper, though, is the thing. Like, do you know Slow Burn by The Word Alive? How that's like talking about a relationship that's like dying, falling apart, whatever. That's the biggest motif that I get from this on Atonement, Playing with Fire, Over It, a little bit, mostly Afterthought. I like the way Afterthought like went back into Atonement, by the way.
That's what I figured is like a relationship thing.
Right. But what I don't get is there's like Welcome to Paradise, which is about like social issues. Same with System Failure. There's Pressure, which is about like Jake was talking about, just how the pressure being in the industry, and then Gatekeeper, which addresses like being a woman in an industry dominated by men, and The Invisible, which is just like a general anthem. It's like there is a story here, but there's individual other like contrasting motifs thrown throughout the album, so it's like I don't get a consistent story. I get a lot of one thing and a little bit of some other things, and I'm left with, like you said, Jake, maybe a little more collection of singles than anything else. It's a collection of really good singles.
Yeah, it's like one of the best collections of singles I've ever heard, if we're calling
for sure.
That.
Absolutely.
But I will say, Gatekeeper does have closer energy to me.
It definitely does.
It's very anthemic and uplifting. The delivery on "We're in the fight of our lives, we came from the bottom, there's no keeping us down. In the fight of our lives, we won't be forgotten. Do you hear us now?" Feels really empowering, no matter like who you are, you know?
Oh, for sure.
And I think like Atonement's my favorite song on here too. Probably no one's surprised. It was my third favorite song of last year. Clearly my favorite on here. I do also kind of get that maybe it's not the best opener, but it's like a Paradise by Future Palace type situation where I just love the song so fucking much that I don't really care that it's the opener. Like, I hear Atonement and I get excited, even if it doesn't have opener energy, so to say. And yeah, I do kind of get what you mean about New Heaven and Paralyzed and Welcome to Paradise kind of being a little slow to get through at the start. I would have liked to have seen Paralyzed a little later in the album, maybe. Or like one of the 4 singles at the start of this album to maybe go later. Or maybe like, don't give us New Heaven, give us Pressure as a single. I don't know. But I do think that it is a little bit slow to get started. Admittedly, like, I love everything. Like, I would listen to those 4 singles as singles on repeat, and I did when they were released as singles. Mm-hmm. But in the album, I mean, I'm kind of repeating myself at this point. Let's talk about some other things, like song-specific stuff. The breakdown in System Failure is incredible.
Banger.
Janelle's delivery on, like, the System Failure, and you get the, like, guitar pausing with the vocals, kind of, just beautiful execution on that. Only Girl is probably my favorite non-single on this album. It's either that or Afterthought. And Only Girl is just such an anthem. I wouldn't have even been, like, if Only Girl was the closer to this album, I wouldn't have been mad. I think it could have worked as a closer. The delivery on the "I miss the way we felt alive and I'd do anything" to get you back or whatever. It's just Kirelli's vocals shine so much there. Chorus and Playing with Fire is super jumpy. Almost reminds me of Against the Current in a way. Almost.
I think that's a good comparison for sure. For some of the more upbeat songs, yeah.
And then other than that, Wide Awake and Pressure and Over It, I didn't spend a ton of time with, just because I was in love with the other non-singles so much. But they're all
just
fantastic
casually dropped
songs.
3 of my favorites. And said, That's how it goes. I think that's constantly how it goes.
It is. But yeah, no, this is a fantastic album, and I did say it was my most anticipated album of the year. I made a prediction in December last year that Conquer Divide would drop my album of the year 2023. Now, I can't say for certain that they have, but I'm also not going to definitively say that they haven't.
Plausible deniability. I got you. I think I would almost say the same. I think, honestly, my most anticipated album when I said last year is probably I See Stars, which has been a miserable fucking failure of an expectations being met. But I don't know. I think this maybe it both subverted and exceeded my expectations in different ways. And I'm very happy with it overall. I have every song saved, so I can't complain.
Yep.
Mine was also I See Stars until I think it was like January 3rd, and Sleep Token released a single. So. Something like that.
I thought you were gonna say until the Drift incident.
No.